So I already have another video where I highlight some things every Corepunk player should know. The stuff there is pretty basic. Corepunk isn't that hard, but after dozens of hours you start noticing a lot of small outside the basic tricks that make your life way easier, and today I want to share them with you. These tips won't give you BIS gear 2 hours after you hit level 20, and they won't make you the number 1 PvP player overnight. But they will give you more efficiency per hour, more hero power, more profit, less wasted time. Especially if you don't have unlimited hours to grind. Get comfy, grab some tea or coffee, and let's start. The first tip is about understanding what you actually need when you randomly run into an NPC shop. There are tons of NPCs in the game, and each of them sells different stuff for different prices. One of the most common categories is food ingredients. As you know, food in Corepunk is a huge part of your hero power. Food has tiers, the classic energetic toast that basically lives in everyone's inventory. Lucky salad, mana pasta, monster mike sandwich, tacos, and so on. This stuff matters, maybe not for every single player, but for almost everyone. To cook it for yourself or to sell it, you need specific ingredients. And yes, you can get them naturally. Dance with chickens for eggs, steal corn from Granny's Hilda's farm, go on a forest tree for mushrooms. All that roleplay. But you don't have to. Most of the time you can just buy ingredients from NPCs for cheap. And I'm not saying you should shake hands with every NPC in River Rise the moment you log in. You can, but it's not mandatory. What I mean is, you're waiting for Battlegrounds to start, you are thinking why your friend's bathroom break has lasted 20 minutes, their brain routine in TikTok obviously. Or you just feel like reminding someone in chat that they are noobs. Just check the shop. Let's take egg toast for example. You need cheese, egg, bread, and star energy. All of it is usually cheap at NPCs, and all of it is always valuable on the marketplace. Even if you don't sell it, you'll always be happy to have those ingredients sitting in your bank when you need to craft. So the play is simple, and it's literally all you have to do. Write down the ingredients for the most used food consumables, and whenever you see them at the shop, buy them instantly. You stop wasting ancient coins and time doing the classic Corepunk grind for basic ingredients. One more thing you don't have to do, but I'll appreciate it. We're moving to 1k subs, and it would be really cool if you subscribe if you still haven't. You can also follow my Twitch if you want to see how it's possible to die every 5 minutes. Very easy when you're a newbie. And honestly, thank you for being here with me. Next tip is small, but a lot of players don't even notice it until they're suddenly broke. When you craft something at the crafting station, everything is fine. When you lock your efficiency, also fine. But the sneaky part is, once you have the lock on, you start losing gold with each craft. It's not obvious because it's like 5 gold or something around that, so your brain ignores it. Of course, if you are focusing on rune crafting and you need to craft a chip, you definitely don't want to lose efficiency, because those 80% plus crafts climb painfully slow and you'll probably lock it. But if you are focusing on runes and you are about to craft them, you don't need to lock it and you won't lose any gold. Yeah, 5 gold isn't that much, and it might even be worth the risk that you'll forget to lock it when you're about to craft something you are not focusing on. But you know the rule, 5 gold here, 5 gold there, and suddenly you're walking around with bad trousers. Gathering. Some people love it, some people hate it. All these jokes like, you came home from work as a coal miner, you want to relax, and then you launch Corepunk to mine some terminum liquidum. Or you just came back from Siberia, where you were happily drinking vodka with a bear, and now in Corepunk you need bear bile to craft your 2 painkillers. Normal life. So we all know you can mark gathering spots on the map. Most people do a route, and with each run they just follow the same node path to maximize profits per hour. And we all know there are people who only gather tier 3 nodes. I'm not going to speculate, human nature is human nature. Here is what I recommend if you want to actually touch tier 3 nodes consistently. Build a route that takes a little more than an hour to complete. Gather every node on the way. If you don't want a certain node type, destroy it. Then you can come back to the node where you started the route. By that time, most of the nodes should have respawned. Because you gathered or destroyed everything, the game has room to reroll spawns, and you'll start seeing a lot more freshly born tier 3 nodes on your route. Yes, it can take around 2 hours. That's a decent chunk of time, for sure. But I want you to give it a chance. Instead of spending 30 minutes every day roaming the map hoping that a tier 3 node luckily wasn't gathered before you arrived, Spend 2 hours once a week and basically create those tier 3 nodes for yourself. Final tip for today is also about food. There are 2 situations where cheap default food without the safety buff can be extremely useful. First situation is when we are buffing with a tree root or stone bound campfire. These campfires give you an additional buff on top of your food buffs, and the campfire buffs are kinda OP. The duration depends on how much time you spend consuming something during the 1 minute when the campfire is active. If you only eat for 30 seconds, you'll get like 6 minutes of buff. If you keep consuming for 50 plus seconds, you'll get a much better duration. So instead of trying to perfectly time your main food so you don't lose the safety buff, do this. Eat all 3 of your main foods right away. When the longest consumption animation ends, just keep eating cheap stuff. Bread, marmalade, sushi, dried meat jamming, whatever. You keep your main buffs and you maximize campfire buff duration. Easy. The second situation where ordinary food can be useful is when you do PvP or PvE without a healer and don't have time to think about food mid-fight. You just spam painkillers and mana vials. But once you're out of combat and low HP, instead of burning painkillers, especially from tier 2 they get pricey, just eat default region food. Sometimes it heals you even faster. Yes, it disappears once you enter combat again, but your painkillers will be ready and not sitting on cooldown. Another common scenario. You had a long battleground fight, you're out of mana, you're out of mana vials, your mana boost is on cooldown and your respawn point is far away. Just step out of combat for a moment, eat ordinary food, refill mana fast and jump back in. Many Corepunk players look at basic food like meh, but in the right moment it can be a game changer. And these were 4 Corepunk tips for today. And of course I have way more. Let's make a deal, 50 likes and I'll start working on the second set of tips. And yeah, if you enjoyed the video, your like helps other people find it too, so it's not just business. If you have your own tip that most Corepunkers don't know about, share it in the comments. Maybe I don't know it either and I'll include it in the next video. Thank you for your time and I'll see you in the next video.